Okay. It is 8:31 now. So we're going to get started right away, guys, because we're a part of Clapper, so we kind of head straight over there to continue this discussion live over there. So if you're on Clapper, follow us over there for more discussion. Yeah. All right, Rebecca, sound us in, talk us in. Yeah, and introduce us, what we're doing today.
Well, welcome to Bloop. Welcome to Bloop, where we believe that readers have the right to know. So each night that we come on, Tuesday nights at 8:30, one of us, tonight it's going to be Laura. She's going to be just reviewing a book that she read, and I think tonight it's going to be Zodiac Academy, book 1. And then we're going to talk about, and then there you go, very nice. I am going to talk about the latest book news that I've found and researched. So tonight's topic is going to be about James Patterson and the New York Times bestsellers list. So that's what I'm going to be talking about.
Yeah.
So
I think for a lot of us, it's not shocking, but yeah, it needs to be discussed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So Laura, whenever you're ready,
okay.
I saw your cool, I need new glasses. So when I look straight on at the camera, it's so blurry. So I'm loving that you've got your little, what is that, iPad?
This is a Kindle. I don't get to use it very often because it takes me a really long time to read, but since I have Kindle Unlimited and this is in Kindle Unlimited, I just pulled it up.
Awesome.
Today. So Zodiac Academy is a series, and it's written by two sisters, in the UK, which I think is really cool. That'd be so much fun to be like sitting in a room with your sister and getting to write all these books. It is a commitment. It was supposed to be finished at 8 books. Now I'm learning it's going to be 9. Like they added a whole other book. So this is going to be part of my discussion because wrap it up.
Yikes.
But anyways, okay. So let's go into the synopsis. I'm kind of giving a review kind of for majority of the series. I've read through 7 books. So I'm going to kind of give a synopsis. So the synopsis is, without any spoilers, you have these twin sisters who are in the mortal realm, and there's like a mirror realm, I guess, a mirror world to the mortal realm, right? And they can like overlap, but one has magic and one doesn't. So you have these twin sisters, the Vega twins, Darcy, and she gets called Roxy later on, but that's not real. Anyways, they're twins, and the very beginning of the book, some guy comes in and he like tells them that they are, the lost heirs to the throne, and he's like, you got to come back with me tonight. It's like a big night for you. It's your awakening or something like that. His name's Professor Orion, and he comes and he gets them, and they're brought into like this Fey world, and it's basically like it's a cool concept. So it's called Zodiac Academy. So it's like you have parts of your personality, right, that we understand is like your zodiac sign, but like here it's also part of like your magic and who you'd be friends with, and like maybe like your partner, like a significant other. Anyways, so not only that, then you have elemental magic. There's air, water, fire, and earth. Mm-hmm. And if like you're really powerful, if you have 2, it's almost unheard of to have 3. And then it's like, if you have 4, that's like, okay. So anyways, they're brought here, but immediately they're like shunned, and it's like, we don't want you here. And I'm like, okay. I'll roll with this. Let's get into the rating really quick. This is, I think it is advertised as new adult. I would say it's adult. I mean, new adult has higher content ratings, but it's geared towards, we don't have a new adult rating, so this is adult. And books 1 and 2 are like a 3 spice maybe 3 plus. The book 1's like a 3, book 2 is like a 3, almost 4, and then books 4 and on are, 4 plus.
Wow.
So the series starts off, I told you, is like a, we'll say 3, and adventures into a 4 plus. So I would give the whole series overall a 4 in terms of sexual content. There is language, adult themes, intense and persistent violence. There's nudity. There's drug and alcohol abuse and use. And there's other adult themes too. So parents are counseled to take this rating very seriously. The very detailed descriptions of physical interactions of sexual and violent nature, and definitely beyond fade to black. So I would recommend some trigger warnings, because this is at its core, especially the first book was, I almost quit. But the reason why I kept going is because it's so dang popular on TikTok. And I was like, what is the fuss about? I have to get in on this and see what's going on. Searching for, trigger warnings. If you do have trigger warnings, then I would be careful in your search, because there will be spoilers galore. But because I would consider this a little darker romance, and definitely a bully romance, definitely. And definitely one, maybe book 2. There are, in terms of the sexual content rating, why it got that, the book contains multiple sex act references. Sex occurs early on, I want to say, earlier on. Maybe not in book 1, but in some of the other books. So I'm just going to be cautious and say that it's going to be after book 1. It's going to be throughout the whole book. So the sex happens early than an average book often. There's kinks, fetishes, multiples, orgy-like situations, just anything goes. Anything is going in this. And it can be the sex can be kind of rough and vulgar and things like that. And there's also an issue, especially in book 1 and 2, with consent. It's not full on rape, but there are stuff that happens, and So overall rating, and this is so hard for me because I'm an indie author too. The book is so creative, and there are a lot of characters I want to follow and I really like, but a lot of it was hard for me to read. So as an indie author, I struggle to write this review because it's I know the work involved, and the concept is really intriguing and interesting, and I know the blood, sweat, and tears go into it. But here's the thing. Is the story addicting? Yes. Some elements, yes. Okay. I feel there's a great premise. However, there are some things as a reader that really frustrated me. So things I enjoyed really quick. Strong cast of characters with a lot of steamy tension and romance. I enjoyed the multiple point of views. I love character-driven stories, and I love to be able to get the insider, figure out what everybody is feeling and thinking. The world is fun and unique. Not only do all the Fae have the order form, so there's tons of order forms. You could be Siren, you could be a Medusa, you could be a vampire, you can be a harpy, dragon, you name it, they're there. And then you also have your elemental giftings along with the Zodiac signs. So, and the stars play a role. So the stars are kind of their deity. The progression of the story is pretty good. Like I said, it mainly focuses on the Vega twins versus the heirs. So the Vega twins are the long lost princesses, and the heirs are the group of boys who were raised to lead the realm of Solaria in their stead because they were thought dead. So you have 4 boys who believe we're running this country, we're essentially kings, and now these 2 girls have come back, and now their thrones are threatened. And then something much larger takes root about the 4th book. So the progression keeps going, and the author's writing improves throughout the series. And there's a ton of world building and description, and it helps you keep it all straight. Things that were not my cup of tea: plot holes. So I told you one of the first things that happens in ZA and Zodiac Academy is the twin sisters are sought out specifically by a teacher in the mirror realm of Solaria, and they're like, you got to come. You're the lost heirs. You are Fae. You have magic. Come take your throne. However, boom, the minute they get there, just about everyone, including the teacher who brought them, is like,
bye.
Like, renounce your throne. Renounce your throne. We don't want you as our queens. Okay,
Okay.
that's fine. No, it's never discussed why they were even brought then. I mean, that's not a
Wow.
spoiler. Just want to, for me as a reader, I want to know why the hell did you go into the mortal realm and bring her back? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I would feel like I would hope there would be some sort of tie-in. Maybe I missed it because I was listening, but like I can't. It frustrates me. I'm kind of like, you should like kind of
Or there
maybe
should be at least a couple people that are on their side, and there's a reason why everybody else doesn't want them there, but there's a reason why they need to take their thrones or
I don't want to
something.
share. I just would like there to be a reason. Like, why did you even bring them back in the first place? I don't feel like that was really fleshed out. I know it's a plot point. Like now that there's tension, but
Right.
why did you go back at them and create that tension? So to me, there has to be a justification for it, and that wasn't justified. Another plot hole. There seems like very little rules at Zodiac Academy. It would be like if you were in Harry Potter at Hogwarts and Slytherin ruled the day. Like, like there's no rules and bullying goes, anything goes. That's right. Teachers can assault students. Students can assault students. Just don't kill anyone, maybe. And even if you do accidentally kill somebody, it may not be grounds for expulsion. But suddenly, and we're at college campus, by the way, suddenly a student-teacher relationship is the most heinous crime and results in having to be thrown into like the highest maximum security prison.
Okay.
This is what
But
I'm saying.
murder's fine.
You have two adults who are of consenting age, and it's not a huge age gap, and suddenly this is the worst crime when there's like all the other things I've mentioned. It doesn't.
Right.
That was just that missed the mark completely for me. I'm not going to share who, what, where. I'm just saying this happens at one of the books, and I'm just like, I can't. You lost me with that plot hole throughout all the series. There's something called house points. Oh, it's like 20 house points to air and negative 120 points from fire and blah blah blah. And it's like they just say it. There's nothing done with these house points. There's no awards. There's no punishments. And I'm like, okay, I don't understand.
Do you even know what it is? Do you even know what house points are?
No. It's just there, and they're just set, and then like nothing. There's no like competition at the end of any book. Like, you know how in Harry Potter it was like 10 points to Gryffindor, and then it was like at the end that house won, and all the banners changed, and it was like a competition amongst the houses. Nothing. The other thing that was hard for me was there is, especially with book one, I literally almost quit. You know me. But I toughed it out, guys. I toughed it out. I'll tell you how I toughed it out. But there is so much assault. So much assault. And I know that might be common in dark romance. I don't read dark romance. So this was a big no-go for me. It really turned me off. So it was really hard to slug through the amount of abuse, bullying, and non-consent was off the charts. The authors, this is a little nitpicky, so I'm really sorry. The authors are both from the United Kingdom, which is great, but it presented a small issue for me. The sister duo, I called her Roxy before, her real name's Tori. Tori and Darcy, they're supposed to be from Chicago, my native land, right? And yet, there were so many phrases that are not only not common for Chicagoans, but are not common for people in America. I'm like, when you're calling a uniform a kit, and then I have to go research what a kit is, and your audience is from the United States. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And then the last is info dumps. There were many, many passages where I was just like, fast forward, 30 seconds, 30 seconds, 30 seconds, because it was just so long and drawn out. So I feel like, so that's another thing. As the series goes on, this was like another thing. It was like book 7 was like 820 something pages. I looked up.
Oh my gosh!
Book 8 is supposedly over 1,000 pages, and you can't wrap it up.
Oh my gosh.
Book eight was
Is this Game of Thrones?
this book 8 was supposed to be the last book, and it's like, oh, sorry guys, couldn't. And it was like, and book 8, I almost like literally threw my phone across the room because I'm just like, but how I was able to get through these 7 books is there are a couple characters who I really want to see what happens to them. And so that's the cool thing, is that they write POV chapters, and you'll know who the character is. So if it's not a character I'm really interested in, I just skip that whole chapter. I did that a lot. I'm sorry to say. And then I'm also fast forwarding within the chapter because info dumps, and there was very like some graphic sexy times, and it happens a lot, and I'm like, okay, I need to get back to the plot, like things like that. So I'm probably only reading a third of the books, but I feel like I have a really good handle on what's happening, if that says anything to you. Okay. Keywords, themes, tropes. If you like any of these, then this book is for you. Paranormal romance, dark academia, urban fantasy, fae, astrology, vampires, werewolves, magic, dragons, bully romance, alpha holes, royal politics, who can you trust, toxic relationships, love triangles, new kid at school, premeditated murder, spice, male sirens, mythological creatures like the Cerberus, age gap, multiple point of view, claiming what is mine, tension of maddening proportions, angst, fantasy, empathy, moving on, star-crossed lovers, fated mates, multiple partners, MFM, if you know, you know. Okay, what that is it's basically a threesome, and it's, I think I did this correctly, male,
and a female.
male means the males don't get together, but the female gets with both men. LGBTQ rep, MM, brotherhood, sisterhood.
Okay.
So, I mean, thousands and thousands of people have rated this book 4 and 5 stars. So if any of those things, anything I've said really interests you, then have at it. At this point, like I said, I think for book 8, I think it's just going to be like 2 or 3 characters' point of view that I'll be skipping the rest just to see what happens to those characters, which is what I've been doing since book 4.
Well, you didn't give your overall rating. What's your overall rating? How did you like it? Oh, you did. I missed it. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. It was when I was
out.
I know. Sorry. I did find it. But now that you said it, I know it's like right over there, and I didn't write on it. Yeah, so I don't hate it. It's just, it wasn't my bag. It wasn't my cup of tea, this book. And I think they still did a good enough job to draw me in to like want to follow these certain characters, because normally I would have just DNF'd a series.
Yeah, I mean, you went pretty far. You got 7 books, man. That's a lot.
Well, I mean, in some chapters within the books.
A third of the book.
Maybe.
So.
Yeah, maybe.
But
all right, well, that was a lot to go through. I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay. I was curious to see what this was going to be about. So, Zodiac Academy, the college years.
Dark academia, college years. Yeah.
You might die.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe you would like it.
Oh,
There's
no.
a lot of domestic violence and crazy stuff.
I don't like the non-consensual stuff. I don't like overly done sexual scenes that are just sex for sex. I don't like that.
I didn't know what Jacob's Ladder was.
Oh, I do know what that is, unfortunately.
I didn't look it up, but I got told by somebody because I asked, and they were just like,
yeah,
Laura,
it's not safe for work, people. It's not a ladder. It's not your average ladder.
No. Well, I knew it was in a context like that, and I'm like, what? I don't read. I don't.
Yeah. It's just yeah.
So that's any indication. Literally anything goes in this book, except for a consensual of age, over age of consent, and a teacher student apparently is
that
the most heinous
that's
crime.
illegal?
Walk the earth.
That's
Uh-huh.
no.
Yeah, but
Wow.
all the other stuff, I'm just like,
Yeah, the older I get, the more I just can't read that kind of stuff because it's just no, it's not my cup of tea anymore, So
it wouldn't have been my. I don't have words. I don't have
you're
any
like,
more words.
oh,
I have no more words. Oh gosh, I'll let you know. I mean, I don't know when book 9 is coming out at some point, and I'm just like, I don't even know. Because literally, and you were with me when I finished, when I got to the last chapter of this book, last like 10 chapters, I was getting feeling real stabby. I was like, I'm so mad right now. Like, everything was a dark hole of despair, and that's how it ended.
oh, that's nuts. That
Yeah.
sucks.
So,
Basically you had a cliffhanger too on the end of this book.
no. Well, maybe, I guess, with some of the characters, but for the most part, it was just like a big pit of despair. That's all I could describe it as.
That
A
sucks.
dark hole, pit of
A dark hole.
despair. And it's like, just, how I am with that stuff. Like, I'm like,
Yeah.
excuse me. They do a really good job of every single book ends on like a big cliffhanger and you want to keep going. This one just made me beyond angry. And I don't know. Again, I'm speaking as an author myself. I feel like there comes a point where I feel like it's almost disingenuous to keep dragging a series. I know it's successful. I know, people got to eat and make money. But when you promise the 8th book is the last book, and now you're going to create another over 1,000 pages, and then also say, "Oops, and there's a book 9," and just to keep like I don't know. It doesn't sit right with me.
Emotional damage.
Emotional damage, but it also kind of feels like I said, disingenuous to keep, pulling all that out of your, like milking your readers, so to speak.
Exactly.
Just kind of how it felt for me. So,
well, it's almost 9:00. Do you want to continue this? Do you want me to go into my book news?
give us a little brief, like what happened and what are your thoughts on it?
Okay. Well, I mean, tonight I'm going to talk about James Patterson and the New York Times bestsellers list. And just saying, wouldn't it be great to be on the New York Times bestsellers list as an author? I mean, I think that would be just extremely, like you're getting your chops, basically. Now you're a New York Times bestselling author.
Yeah.
Well, James Patterson, of course, would know because he's written more than 200 novels since 1976.
Oh my
He has 114 New York Times best-selling novels. He holds the New York Times record for the most #1 New York Times bestsellers by a single author, which just happens to be 67 books, which is also a Guinness World Record. And if you don't know who James Patterson is, he has, and I have to confess that I've never read a James Patterson book, but I've seen movies like The Kiss the Girls, Along Came a Spider, The Postcard Killings, Alex Cross. Like I've seen these movies, but I've never read the novels. And in my research of James Patterson, he not only writes mystery and thrillers, he also writes young adult fiction. He writes comedy, realistic fiction, romance, and I think I knew he wrote science fiction, but I'm just saying he writes like everything. But most recently, he co-authored a book on the real life stories within law enforcement called Walk the Blue Line. No right, no left. It's just cops telling their true stories to James Patterson. Well, Patterson said that the book outsold the bottom 7 books on the weekly bestsellers list according to BookScan. Now, BookScan is a data provider for the book publishing industry. It just collects data at point of sale. That's all it does, and it's used in the book industry, in the book publishing industry. However, his book did not make the cut, but he just said he outsold 7 of the books, the bottom 7.
Okay.
Patterson cited how the list excluded a book from Mike Pompeo, despite Donald Trump's former Secretary of State outselling 6 books that made the list. He also tweeted how the fiction section of the chart included 4 titles that sold fewer copies than J.D. Robb's recent novel, a work the list did not include. J.D. Robb is also Nora Roberts. She's, if you didn't know who that was, but just so you know. Okay, so next, Patterson wrote the New York Times a letter in which he accused them of cooking the list, and the outlet did not deny said accusation. In fact, the Times informed Patterson's publisher it does not rely solely on raw data sales when placing a title atop the sales chart. Wait a minute. So the New York bestsellers list does not rely solely on raw sales. I mean, it's a sale. Anyways, it's a sales list. Anyways, here we go. Okay, so one might wonder what methods the bestseller list uses to calculate its ranking if sales is not the Bible. Yes, I'd like to know that too. So in this news article that I looked at from Outkick sent an inquiry to the New York Times bestseller press department asking for clarification, and they said, what metrics does the bestsellers list use if raw numbers are not the only metric? So a spokesperson responded and said, "Hi, Robert. Thank you for contacting us. The following answer can be attributed to me or a spokesperson for the New York Times. We responded to Mr. Patterson to let him know that we take his concerns seriously and are always reviewing our methods in compiling the bestsellers list to ensure that we are best serving our readers. Our bestsellers lists are based on detailed analysis of book sales from a wide range of retailers, tens of thousands of brick-and-mortar stores of all sizes, and numerous online book-selling vendors to best represent what is selling across the United States." Okay, so they just pretty much said that they use sales from book sales from a wide range of retailers, tens of thousands of brick-and-mortar stores of all sizes, and numerous online book-selling vendors. So
I feel like I read somewhere that concept that there are tens of thousands of brick-and-mortar stores across our country, and I heard that was not. Are there even tens of thousands of bookstores anymore, or places that
but
sell
I think
books?
I think that was just some frilly language, because if a book, if an ebook, if an audiobook has a barcode, it's getting scanned if it's getting sold. So it's going to make this book scan list because it's point of sale data. So they're just pretty much regurgitating back what we already know. We know that the New York Times bestsellers list is compiled of books that sold the most, and it should be across the United States. These books sold the most. It should just be data that they're giving us, telling us what books sold better. And then they go on to say, we will and will continue to track Mr. Patterson's latest books. In the last 15 years, Mr. Patterson's books have ranked on our bestsellers list over 4,000 times. So, but my thing is like I just said, the New York Times has always put out the New York Times bestsellers list, and it should be just data on how many books sold, the best books sold anyways, and it appears like that's not what's happening here. And I think that this is it's bad for the consumer. It's bad across the board, but it's bad for the consumer, bad for the author, it's bad for the industry, and it's horribly bad for the New York Times, because now we can't trust their list. I mean, it takes away their entire credibility, because now what is happening? So,
yeah, but I also feel like this has been like, I just kind of feel like that was already known, though, to an extent. Like, I kind of feel like it was pay to play.
Well, that's what it certainly seems like. And James Patterson's a big player, so he's not making the list all of a sudden.
But I would venture to say that his book, regardless that it wasn't supposed to be a political thing, it was just supposed to be police stories in the current state of our society.
Well, it smells like agenda.
It's definitely, there's that. But I feel like just the things I've been learning as like an indie author and stuff of like, and knowing so many more authors and being in this world now and stuff, it's like pretty much, and I can't say this for a fact, but the vibe I'm getting or what I've heard spoken, but I can't say it's fact, is it's kind of like publishing houses decide what book is going to be the big seller or not. And that's where they choose to put a lot of their marketing and all of that. So regardless of if it's the best book or not, the publishing house decides in advance what book is going to be their best sellers, and then they push it. And then every other author, even if a publishing house has backed you, every other author is kind of like, oh well, we have no marketing budget for you. You have to do most of your own marketing, and good luck.
So regardless of what the mass consensus is on readers across the United States, it doesn't matter. Like, we don't get to say what we find, most appealing. Like, we just read a best-selling author with our book club, and none of us liked the book. So, I mean, and I can't.
But I mean, it could have just been an us thing, because obviously they picked up, like, if a book is not selling, they're not going to keep paying for your series to be produced. Published.
Right.
And that series has a lot of books in it.
Right.
So, I mean, sometimes the hype is like, it's just that. It's just hype. It's like a one-book deal, and then get the movie deal. And so it's like, but sometimes people feel duped. It's like you have a whole bunch of people that, like, they marketed the heck out of this book, and then they go buy this book. And then so many people are like, I mean, some people
Really?
love it. Yeah, but there's a lot of people that love it. I just think I've just kind of known this for a while, because you hear a lot of authors saying the way that the industry has changed now is like, even if you are backed by a Big Ten publisher, they might not decide that your book is something they want to put a bunch of money in terms of marketing. And that's ultimately why it kind of swayed me going indie too, instead of doing the whole query thing or whatever with my first series. Is like, well, one, I had no idea what I was doing, but two, I would have had to do my own marketing anyways. But I'm like, why don't I just maintain full control of everything?
But even so, I mean, the New York Times bestseller list, I think, should just be data of just these are the best sellers. Out of all the books purchased this week, this month, whatever, these are the best sellers, regardless. And, I mean, because otherwise I'm thinking, and what do I know, but I'm thinking in my head that now there's just a group of people at the New York Times that get to go, well, you know what, his book sold a lot, but there's this thing about cops in it. We don't like cops, so we're going to not put this on the bestsellers list. I mean, that's where I go in my head on, I don't know what happened with J.D. Robb.
Only certain books are getting this privilege, right? So there's this whole indie author world, and these books do not. It's very rare, and I think like Colleen Hoover is probably one of the only few that have made it on a New York Times bestsellers list. And we indie authors actually had the USA Today list, bestselling list, USA Today, and that list disappeared with no explanation.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is just crazy.
So I mean, you had a lot of indie books that were selling like cray, and then all of a sudden their list disappears. So I mean, how do you say you like conspiracy theories without saying you like conspiracy theories?
I mean, I know on this show we don't like to get political, we don't like to really go, but this is a book topic, and it's just sad to see our industry, the books,
Yeah.
Oh, and I wanted to tell you this, which I thought, fun fact, and you're going to want to write this down, but also in my research of James Patterson, his book Maximum Ride, which is a young adult book, was banned by Florida's Martin County School District, and he wrote a letter to Governor DeSantis to say, what's up with that? Well, now I want to read this book, because I want to know what's in the book and why it got banned by Martin County School District, because I got to know.
Banned or taken out of schools?
It was taken, well, I guess they weren't allowed to read this book.
Okay.
So he wrote a letter to Governor DeSantis.
Yeah, I'm going to be really interested to see. This list keeps growing.
Right.
I had somebody, like, we got to get going, so we can discuss this later, but I had somebody come to my door yesterday about my sticker on the back of my van.
Awesome.
So if you want to find out, join us in Clapper right now.
Oh, wow. That's cool. Well, guys, that's it for us tonight. We're going to wrap it up. And if you haven't yet, please follow us on Facebook and Instagram, and also subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're on Rumble. We're now on Clapper. You can listen to us on Spotify. Did I forget anything? We're on all the things. We're still on TikTok.
It's at Blue Podcast. This handle right here is the same across all our platforms, even our website, bluepodcast.com. So if you forget where we're at, go to our website. You could see the uploaded reviews and content ratings for books that we have reviewed here during our lives. And anyways, it will have links there too for you to access how you want to watch and or listen.
Yes. So until next Tuesday, guys, happy reading.
Bye.
Bye.